So, all right, we're live. So, what's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Faith Family Finance. Today, we have a lovely, wonderful, beautiful, special guest. And this is the lovely. Well, no, you're not a guest. Like, I'm a guest. No, you're not a guest, but it's your first time on the podcast. So you're the first special guest right now, but of course you're going to be a regular because that's just how it goes. Like, this ain't just going to be no Troy doing all the talking, although you try to be all hiding and all that. So, yeah, so introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you are. I know who you are, and so tell everybody who you are.
Hello, my name is Jasmine Wilkins, and I am, excited to talk about some really good topics today.
Okay, so what we talking about today, Jay? I'm Jazz. Y'all, Jazz be acting all shy, and
gosh.
she's not really shy, y'all. So she, you know, she runs stuff around here, y'all. So today, what we're going to be talking about is we've been talking about finances, and we've been doing different episodes on finance. So today, we're going to just tackle the family part. Now, honestly, like just how we are in our marriage, we're going to tackle and talk about just marriage and bonding and what it's like to be married. But I'm sure you guys may just get a glimpse of all three because that's what our lives embody. Faith, family, and finance. Most importantly, faith first, and then our family second, and then finances and everything else after that. So, I'm sure you guys will get a glimpse of or topics of everything. So, family, let's start, and I guess we'll start with, huh? Yeah, we'll start with marriage. So, go ahead, Jazz. You open it up.
Sure. So, we have been married for going on almost 8 years coming up. So, we have learned a lot throughout our marriage. And I think a good place to start is the premarital thing, right? So, we have a lot of individuals either out dating, looking for the right one. How do I know he or she is for me? So, I guess we can start there. How do you know when someone is for you? Because I know it's a lot of people out there wondering, how do I know I found my person? So, how do you know when you find your person?
Ooh, that's a good question, y'all. I think for me, I just knew. It's hard to really explain, when you know. Like there's no, and I think for me what was different about knowing was I could start to see and realize like this is someone that I want to spend my life with. And anytime you start to ask the questions like how do you know this person is the one? More than likely they're the one. Unless you're in some type of delusion or like you're like that's really the only way unless you're like in a delusion, you will know when you're dating and you're getting to know this person whether or not this is someone in whom you want to spend the rest of your life with because you start thinking future, you start thinking, building, you start thinking like how can we tackle this life thing together, and the dating process helps to, I guess, solidify that, because when we was dating, like, I'm like, okay, all right, I know, like, I know what I would want, and then eventually you become a girlfriend, but then the girlfriend phase, it's like, okay, this is something serious now. So it's hard to really explain, but I think it's when you really know, you really know, and I guess I would say for me, I had gotten to a point where, I was just solely focused on God. I had reached a low, a ultimate low in my life, and going through college, and just I had nothing else but God. And throughout the process, when jazz came along, I'm just like, oh, okay, God, if this is a distraction, I don't even really want it. And come to find out, it was actually a blessing, biggest blessing, to help me to be able to navigate through what I was going through. But also, he really sent me my wife in my lowest moments. So I say all of that to say, when you know, you just know. Like I was asking you marriage questions, early, like early. I remember I was telling Brock one day.
What's happening to me?
Well, no, I'm saying like we were I guess in the dating, when we were dating, it was like I was asking questions like, do you ever see yourself being married, or but whatever. But anyway, I remember telling Brock one day, we was at the bar. Oh my god. And I was like, bro, I was like, yeah, I think she the one. And he was like, yeah, Troy about to be married. I said, what? But yeah, fast forward now, almost 8 years and 3 kids later. Yeah. So I'll turn that question back on you? How did you know? I was the one.
Well, I would honestly say for a lot of females, maybe this could help. A lot of times females are dating, and whether you have relationships that are good, that treat you well, or you have your relationships that just don't go well. And for me, I was in a place where I just knew what I wanted. I wanted the commitment, I wanted the serious relationship. I knew what I wanted, and at the time it was a boyfriend. um Troy was my first boyfriend. First. You never knew that? Like, you were my
What?
yeah, you were my first in college, y'all. I
Wow.
never had a boyfriend. So by this time, yeah, I'm like, I'm ready to, and I guess even like going through life in high school and all that, I kind of thought something was wrong with me, but that's a whole nother podcast. Like, when you go through relationships, you can be like, oh, well, why I never had a boyfriend type of thing, whatever. But Troy was my first boyfriend, and by the time we got together, I just knew what I wanted. And um, I think, I don't know if this is, I want to make this clear. Women are, when you're called to be a wife, now who you are a wife to, is it really up to us? Now we have a say in who we gonna be dating. If they ain't no good, you be like, oh no, you ain't the one. I ain't gonna be no wife to you. But ultimately, it's about the man eyes being opened to you. So when, from the female perspective, it's like, when I knew what I wanted, I knew what I was looking for. So I mean, just by Troy's, mindset and his forward thinking and planning and knowing what he wanted as well, it just kind of flowed together, and we enjoyed each other. So we just grew. Our foundation started with God, and it will end with God, continue all through with God. I mean, we literally came together based on like the foundation of God in college. So, the Bible says that when a man finds his wife, and a lot of times, just in this generation, a lot of women can pursue the men in a way in which I don't believe God intended it to be. So it's just about being very, discerning about who it is that you are submitting yourself to as a female. If you're out here dating, when you're looking for that person and you're wondering if this one is for me, just continue to work on you. That's what I always tell individuals that speak with me, or, we're talking. It's like, single out here, they're like, yo, it's hard out here in the dating world. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm just fortunate and blessed to have a really good, really, really, really good marriage and relationship. And I always encourage single women, and I don't speak with men much, but my girls that come to me, it's like, how do you know and what do you do? Work on you and your relationship with God, and let him work on you. And a prayer could be as well to, open, like, let my husband's eyes be open to me so that he will find me. So I think I hope I answered the question, but I just put the perspective from a woman, woman's eyes. So that's how you can, just really solidify when you have your person. His eyes will be open to you. So I believe your eyes were open.
Yeah, I believe my eyes were open too, because like I said, I had really gotten to a point where it was just I'm really focusing on God. And throughout that process, like, I've always been, yeah, I won't focusing on a female. Yeah, by this time, like, I had already in college, and I didn't already, yeah, I didn't, yeah, ran the street. I was outside, running the streets. So I didn't already, yeah, like, all right, I think what happened was I started to realize, like, this has gotten old. Like, I don't want to be 40, 50 and still chasing underwear. I realized, like, this gotten old. And I think for me, I had examples of marriage in my family. So I always knew that I wanted to be married. Like, my parents are married. My not my my father is married to my second mom, and they've been married for 25 years. My grandfather and grandmother were married for 56, almost 60 years. Married, right? My mom, she was married, for almost 10 years, and it ended in divorce. But I guess my point is, I've seen examples of successful marriages, so seeing that helped me to understand what I wanted, and it helped me to understand how to treat a woman. It helped me to understand, how to weather the storm. It helped me to understand, like, just it brought a new perspective, or a different perspective, I should say. And I also seen on the flip side people who, single in their 40s and 50s, and it ain't looking good. Hold on. And then I do want to add this too. Um, Another thing too is, I really wasn't focusing on a relationship. And during that process, in that time where I was focusing on God, it was like God started to make me comfortable with who I am. And God started to basically deal with me, and not looking for someone else to make me happy, or make me complete, as we should say, or make me, any other thing. It was like I found my identity in Christ. And upon him establishing that identity, it was like, oh, nothing else can make me happy. Nothing else can will do it for me. I already know who I am. So when you came along, it's like, oh, you already know who you are in Christ, because you some of our dates we were going to church for first dates. Remember in Petersburg we were going to
We went to church together.
South what was
I
it?
don't know if it was
Crater Square, South Crater.
Good
What's the
Shepherd.
church? Good Shepherd. That's it. Yep. Good Shepherd. Pastor. I still remember Pastor Jeffrey Reeves. But you know, we were having dates like that, and we were having intimate conversations where we already had a sense of who we are or who we were, and then it made coming together, I think, that much more easier because when we knew who we are, we didn't try to date to please anyone. We didn't try to date to, it was just like authentic dating. It wasn't what society says dating is. It wasn't what the culture says dating is. It was just, hey, we're going to do whatever makes us happy. If we want to go to Wendy's, if we want to go to Applebee's, remember doing the Applebee's 2 for $20, we were doing like whatever we wanted to do, that's what we did. If we wanted to sit in a room and watch movies, that's what we did. So I think we found just relief or joy in the small moments. Like let's go to the river and just walk and talk and stuff like that.
And that's really good. Yeah, we definitely made a lot of time together just with the small things. But as you were talking, of course, you mentioned that you had those, good examples. And for those who may not have those examples, like, what does it mean for them? You know, I would say, me personally, I didn't grow up really. I mean, my mother wasn't married until my teenage years. Like, I was a little bit already older. But growing up, it was just me. And, I basically grew up single parent home. My grandparents were married. I've seen them, beautiful marriage. But when it comes to people who don't have someone to reference, I would just encourage you to, just find the things that you, I guess, would say just like the things that you wouldn't want for yourself, just to be completely blunt. I mean, if you see that, single isn't something that you want to be, or, you want to have the love, like, you learn from your environment and your experiences. So even if you don't have those examples of long, healthy marriages or weathering the storm where people are married for decades and more, right? Just continue to work on yourself and know that that doesn't have to be your story. You don't have to continue a cycle of not being married or being single or dating forever without commitment. You don't have to just hop into just moving into together without commitment. A lot of times people are afraid of commitment because they never seen it. So I would just encourage you, don't be afraid of commitment. And with this love thing, it's definitely a vulnerable place. And a lot of times I know people may battle with it because of maybe past trauma or pain. But just continue to find yourself in the Lord. That is the only answer. Because He is everything that you could ever need. And He will guide you through it while working on you so that you can be in a good place for that person. You don't want to get your gold prize and you're a mess. So I would just say, for those who don't have good examples of marriage, long lasting, happy homes, just be encouraged and say, okay, well, this is not what I want. I want to work on, building myself up so that I can be, right for my person when I, do meet them.
Yeah, and that's good. Because you said something very important. Like I remember there was a time, and I think we've talked more about dating more than marriage, or I think we've alluded more to people who are maybe in the dating
Right.
process than actual being
Marriage.
married right now.
Right.
But I think it's still good because that's a solid foundation. The dating phase is important. You know, it's
Yeah.
it's important. You
Understand.
know, so it's crazy because, like you said, you don't want to get your gold prize and then bring in baggage that can basically destroy or disrupt what y'all got going on. And I know me personally, like when I met Jazz, before I met her, I was I was like almost very insecure with trusting, you know, females because I told you
Where was that coming from?
I was outside, and I'm talking about girls who had boyfriends. They was outside too, and I'm like, oh, you got a boyfriend, and they ain't care. They throwing the draws, and I'm like, but you got a boyfriend. So, but also, I also grew up, in Portsmouth. So it was that toxicity and, that's just women ain't boom, men ain't boom. Like, so it's almost, those cultural things that we've adopted, even, men, the stereotypes, how men can be dogs and all this stuff. So a lot of that was coming from just those places, and then just some of my experiences of being outside. So, it almost, and in past relationships, I didn't want to be like played. I ain't don't make me look like a fool, like, but yeah, like, don't make me look like a fool. So, I was insecure because I looked like a fool sometimes, and when I met Jazz, I remember one day you was with some of your friends, and I was like, well, who's that red car that you were getting out of? And you was like, yeah, you was like, oh, that, yeah, what? I ain't got that. It was just interesting. Yeah, yeah. Like, I was like, I saw you coming out the quads, and I was like, okay, I can't bring that up to her because that was an insecurity that I dealt with in a past relationship. So if I bring that up now and we just now dating, she be like, this boy crazy.
So did you say or you did?
No, I didn't say it to you, but
You was thinking.
I was thinking it.
Like,
I didn't say it to
checking me
you,
out.
but I was thinking it. And then I was riding with a friend, and he was like, who car she getting out of? And I'm like, I ain't even going there, bro. Like,
Man, the college you hopping. Everybody
right,
hard.
right. So, but
No.
that's a insecurity that
Right.
could, and it's like, boy, if you could throw a relationship away like that, like you be like, this dude crazy, And I remember something with you, like when we did started dating, you had told me one time, you was like,
I remember a lot.
yeah, you was like, our relationship, like, it's not boring, but you were saying it's boring because not boring because we didn't have fun, we didn't date, we didn't go out, we didn't do
That is
anything.
another topic
It was
right there.
boring because we didn't argue. I
That's
won't
toxic.
I won't argue, and I don't like to
You
argue.
wanna argue.
I don't like confrontation. She wanted to argue.
You
y'all.
wanna argue. I can't argue with you. That was Troy.
Yeah, I'm like, what we arguing for? Like, this is love. Like, I love you, I like you, I'm starting to love you, and what we arguing for, especially if it's not a big deal, but
That's
you know, and then looking at the background, I'm like, I didn't want to argue because I saw arguing growing up. So I'm like, I know what arguing eventually can lead to. It can lead to abuse. It can lead to emotional. It can lead to psychological. It can lead to divorce. So that was interesting. I'm like, I'm bored. You're like, yeah, I just want to see if the grass is greener on the other side. I'm like, what? Because we ain't arguing? I said, you know what? Going on out there. Going on out there in the streets.
Was it really because
Yes. Yes.
it was boring? No, because we weren't arguing. I said I wanted to.
You was like,
Anyway, I was just going through. I don't
I
know.
just want to see.
I was going through something.
I just want to see what's out here.
Yeah, it was my end of the road of college
Yeah.
too. I was
Yeah.
just going through.
Yeah.
He allowed me to do that. What guy? Y'all. He loves me. He loved me from jump because I had went through a phase and I'm about to finish college. Everything's coming to the end of the road, and I'm just like, it's got, if it's something else out here. And, in that time of me, whatever, if I was texting people or whatever, talking or going out, I don't think I really was, but he was still there. Like, he was still there. He was still there. Okay, we can go on and on.
Vulnerable.
Yeah, he was very vulnerable.
I said, I'm going to go back out in these streets.
He didn't go out. He was right with me.
Right.
Honestly.
Right.
Wow. What was I even going to say? Man. Oh, the arguing toxicity. Yeah, toxic. I mean, man. Whew. Yeah, that was definitely the insecurities on my end. Or not insecurity, but just how you say that word?
Toxicity.
Yeah, the toxicity on my end. I don't know where I got that from, you guys. Like I said, he was my first boyfriend. So
I know where you got it from. Love and hip hop.
Love and hip hop. He said I got it from there. I don't. Anyway, it just been like a little excitement, and then makeup, whatever. No, not physical, but like, get a little angry, I'm like, you ain't getting angry or nothing, like, you ain't got nothing to fuss about. But I definitely did bring that to him. He was not doing that at all. He was not arguing. And I think even like in our relationship at the beginning too, I was very like rough. Like I felt like I would do a lot of horse playing with him. And he didn't like that. I was just very, like, I didn't know, because I just feel like maybe I was just always, like, with the boys, or, like how you flirt with boys, and you just maybe, the boys hit the girls hit the boys. I think kind of was always just, like, I don't know. I was just always rough.
You got 3 brothers, too.
Yeah, I mean, but they're younger than me. They're not older than me.
I know, and they always trying.
Yeah, I'm the oldest of 3 brothers, so... I just kind of grew up, I don't know. And getting that into the relationship, I'm kind of like, that's just how I roll. But he, we had to settle that. He settled that real quick. I would like smack him and, So.
She used to beat me up. I'm like, hold on. Hey, I know you was playing, but that was a little too hard. I don't like that. Cause y'all, I understand, like, I don't like fighting. I didn't like to fight. Like, you gotta understand, I grew up in Portsmouth, so I would see that growing up, and people would be walking off with bloody noses and eyes popped out the socket, and, people got shot and killed over that stuff, and people got jumped, and it was, I'm not gonna say it was traumatic, but I just knew I didn't. I was never rough. Like, I ain't play football. Now I ain't soft, but I played basketball. So when I saw my brother got his collarbone broke,
What does that have to do with?
because I was gonna play football. When he got his collarbone broke, I said, "Oh nah, that ain't for me." I know the battles that I'm gonna pick. So when we used to play fight and stuff, like. That's why I never like to, like, fight my brothers and all them. And when we would fight. Like, it had to get to a point where we fighting for real. But I never liked that, because it's just like I would fight when I felt that I needed to fight, and she heavy handed. So she hit me, and I'm like, hey, hold on. I'm like, hey, hold on now. That, is you playing or is... So, yeah.
Oh, man. So, just to bring it back to dating and just premarital things, right? I would just say, Troy and I, we've learned, and then this is definitely gonna have to be a part two, um, because this is really good, and the premarital is so important. I can see you in the camera, Troy. You're
Oh,
yeah. Anyway, and Boss Baby is calling in a few, but premarital dating seasons of your life is so important. And I just encourage anyone out there to just have fun and have fun with your partner, and don't stress it. Don't make it an idol of getting someone, because I feel like a lot of people are making that an idol. Like, I need to find my person, and it's such a high focal point that guy is getting. Like, no, he's a jealous God. So anything that you are seeking more than him, you gonna keep waiting. So I say that because I just feel like in this day and time, it's important for us to get focused on what matters most, Jesus Christ, for him to work on you and your spouse and your, future husband or wife. Because if you do not seek him, you know, you may meet that person and ruin it. And what good is that? So Troy and I, we've definitely learned a lot in our pre-marital season, dating phase, and it's all about having fun. But we are definitely blessed, um, because we have a really good and solid foundation, and it's because it's one on God and two friendship. So I mean, but I don't know, man. Troy is a unique person. He's patient, so that helps a lot. That he's very patient. I told you he let me go out in the streets and was still at my door with a boom box. Like, just kidding though.
So yeah, yeah. Next time we'll talk about is premarital counseling. I think that's a good segue for part two. We talked about dating on this one. Then we could talk about premarital, and then yeah, yep. Because after the dating comes the engagement, and then and
no whole nother story
yeah, and
getting engaged.
yeah, and speaking of engagement, women, don't be out here proposing to that man. Don't do it. Don't let me save you, sis. Don't do it. Just don't do it, please. Don't be out here proposing to that man. Men know, and being hot jazz said, and being housewife to that boy, cause men know. Don't let them hold you hostage for 9, 10 years and don't marry you. Don't men know what they want. So I'm gonna just say that. So I think we'll end there. That's a wrap. Thank y'all for joining us for Faith, Family, and Finance. Today we talked about family. So we'll see you next time. Peace out. We love y'all.